From the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have APC convention holds in 2021 NEC meeting before Christmas. Dean envisage an enormity of our assignment when we started. Buni panel. It's important we hold convention as united party, says Deputy Publicity Secretary.
There's an also have story from now on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. It says, "We won't escape next youth uprising," Senate President wants. And also have the story still on the youth, while he advises youth to maintain peace in their own interest.
And here we have IPPIS petrol scarcity imminent as Pengassan downs tools. We also have strain disease hits Oyo communities, 11 dead, 5 hospitalized.
Yes, we also have news from the health sector, and this one says, "Hope rises as visa vaccine proves 90% effective."
Okay, taking more stories. We have Pencom allows contribution to change pension companies. And we have another protest looms if unemployment persists, says Lawan.
Yes, still from health sector. This is a story that says that cease die of suspected case of cholera in Ibadan.
Okay, going with the tide of health, we have Pfizer announces COVID-19 vaccine ready by December. And going to INEC Yakubu hands over Muhazu National Commissioner resigns.
All right, this is coming from the education sector, and it has it that ASU, SANO, NASU, and MITI will destroy varsity system NUC ones.
We have NYC begins compulsory health insurance, mobilizes 66,000 for orientation. And likewise, we have telecom investment rose by $32 billion in 5 years, federal government. Naira may fall to 475 against dollar. Rwanda, and we have federal government panel given 6-month timetable to sell 45 fortified assets. And finally, from our side, we have OPC alleges 300 Fulani herdsmen occupying Ibadan community. We'll go on a short break now. When we are back, we'll bring you details of the story. Stay. Oh, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. And yes, we already have an analyst in the studio. Mr. Pius, good morning.
Good morning, Pelumi. Good morning, Israel. And good morning, Nigerians.
Yeah, just for a change, we should hear your voice for getting details.
That's nice.
All right, taking the first story from before Christmas. There were strong indications on Monday that the National Executive Committee of the All Progressives Congress would meet before December 25. The newspaper gathered that because of the limited time at the disposal of the party's National Convention Planning Committee, it will seek an extension of its tenure for 6 months during the meeting. And we have disregard Marafas, he's not an APC member. We have other sub-headlines there. It's important we hold convention as a united party, says Nabena. You can get details of this story and more on page 2 of the Punch newspaper.
And also on the page 3 of the Tribune newspaper, I have the story that says, "We won't escape this youth uprising, Senate President wants." The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has urged his colleagues holding elective offices in the country to consider giving urgent attention to youth empowerment, youth poverty reduction, food security, and appreciable improvement in living standards of Nigerians. Speaking at the forum to critique the performance of the agriculture sector and 2021 budgetary provision for it, Senator Lawan said the provision of 139,458,322,208.00 for agriculture out of the total 2021 budget of 13.8 trillion will not drive the needed push for the diversification of the economy from its monocultural status. And this is President Boris' advice to the youth. It says, President Muhammadu Buhari has admonished the youth of Nigeria that they would do well to keep the peace as it is in their own interest ultimately.
Okay, now moving back to the Punch newspaper on page 2, Lagos FCT on the move to stem new COVID-19 wave. Amidst the fear of a second wave of COVID-19 pandemic in the country due to rising numbers of infected persons, some state governments have spoken of their determination to stem new infections. The state include Lagos, Ondo, and the Federal Capital Territory. The newspaper had reported that there were fears that Nigeria could soon be hit with a second wave of COVID-19 following rising daily cases and the abandonment of safety protocols by states across the country. And that's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Lagos FCT Ondo moved to stem new COVID-19 wave.
And on page 2 and 3 of the Nigerian Tribune, this is about the COVID-19 disease and says the long wait for an acceptable vaccine for COVID-19 may soon be over, as a vaccine jointly developed by multinational pharmaceutical corporation Pfizer and German biotechnology company BioNTech has been declared 90% effective in dealing with the virus. And also still on health issues, it says cease die of suspected cholera case in Ibadan.
Okay, now moving now to page 7 of the Punch newspaper. We have Ondo doctors begin indefinite strike over unpaid salaries. Medical doctors in Ondo State, under the auspices of the National Association of Resident Doctors, the University of Medical Sciences Teaching Hospital Ondo chapter on Monday, commenced an indefinite strike over unpaid salaries and allowances. You can get details of that story on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. And still on page 7 of the Punch newspaper, we have the NYC begins compulsory health insurance, mobilizes 66,000 for orientation. The President, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, has directed the National Youth Service Corps to ensure the enrollment of corps members in the National Health Insurance Scheme. The Director General of the NYC, Brigadier General Shaibu Ibrahim, said on Monday. Ibrahim also disclosed that NYC had mobilized 66,000 graduates from across the country for the 2020 NYSC Batch B exercise scheduled to begin on Tuesday, and that's today. And now moving over to page, still talking health, moving over to page 28 of the Punch newspaper, we have strange disease hits Oyo communities, 11 dead, 5 hospitalized. At least 11 persons have been reported dead, with 5 hospitalized following the outbreak of a strange sickness in Lagelu local government area of Oyo State. The 5 persons being hospitalized are said to be battling for survival. Unconfirmed report indicated that it was an outbreak of cholera, as the symptoms closely compare with the deadly disease. You can get details of their story on page 28 of the Punch newspaper. And still taking other health-related cases, we have Buhari wants equitable distribution of COVID-19 vaccines, and that's coming from an aid. And likewise, we have Pfizer announces COVID-19 vaccine ready by December. Okay, well, as we move on, I'd like to welcome her officially, our analyst, Mr. Fires. It's good to have you. I'd like your reaction, regarding the fears now of a second wave of COVID-19 going on around in the country. And with the news we're having that Pfizer announces COVID-19 vaccine ready by December. What do you have to say about all this?
Well, I think it's just by the grace of God that we in Africa, particularly here in Nigeria, I don't know how we did it, that we are surviving as days go by. In reality, if you were to go by the safety protocols, perhaps all of us would have been dead by now, because to a very large extent, we have not been abiding by the safety protocols, even when we were at the heat of the COVID-19 pandemic. How much more now that everything seems to be subsiding and people are going back to their normal ways of doing things gradually. But if you look at what is happening in Europe today, where most of the economies have gone back into total lockdown, talk about Paris, talk about France, talk about the United Kingdom, and of course, countries like the United States of America, where the rate of infection is still increasing at a geometric ratio. It gives you cause to think that it's not yet Uhuru. And therefore, if at some point we're already going back to sleep, maybe it's a wake-up call that if we don't do the needful, who knows what will happen. Don't forget that our airports are already open, both domestic and international. Flights are already on in the country as we speak. So I think it's only a wake-up call that we should not relent. We should continue to stick with the COVID-19 protocols, which we are all already familiar with now. Wash your hands, use your face masks where you have to use your face masks. And even as we speak, particularly here in Oyo State, I stand to be challenged. I don't think that the government has even given a go-ahead for the normal social gatherings that we have. As far as I know, there is still restrictions as to the number of persons to gather in public and even in religious places. You understand? So, but how much has the enforcement been? These are the questions that you will always want to ask. It seems that everybody has gone to sleep, including, the law enforcement officers who should ensure that these things are, kept to the letters. You understand? But then, when it comes to health, I think it's personal. It's personal. You don't need somebody to tell you to do what is right for you to be healthy. I think we just all have to continue to do what is right, make sure we keep our environment clean, keep our hands clean at every point in time. And like I said, where you need to use your face mask, please do use it, because we still have some Nigerians who still do use their face mask even as we speak. So that's just basically it, but we shouldn't give up.
All right, I'd like the analyst to react to this story. This is the Senate president warning to the president to avoid a recurrence of the NSAS protests.
Definitely. What I totally agree with what the Senate president said, that if a very serious action is not taken, of protests, this time around may not even be NSAS protest, it may be another protest, maybe a bigger one. We don't know who the victims will be. Now, we have a very handy example that we can always cite, and that was the aftermath of the recent NSAS protest, okay, where the youth came out peacefully, responsibly, and made certain demands. And after that, expectedly, a number of people in Nigeria took advantage of the protest. I don't want to say hoodlums now, because at times it will be very difficult to just paint everybody, with, the same brush. Because there were some who actually saw an opportunity to stock their homes, because they believe that the COVID-19 palliative warehouses were actually for them. We are not justifying criminality or crime here, but there were Nigerians who were obviously, truly, and genuinely hungry, and they took advantage of that to stock their homes for those who had access to those COVID-19, warehouses. But there were also, you can't rule out, hoodlums who, out of wickedness, the wickedness of the heart of a man, unleashed unnecessary, callous violence on the system. We saw it. The marks are all over the country. Lagos, even here in Oyo State, we saw the carnage. Both lives and property were lost in their number. Same with Lagos, same with Calabar in Cross River State, Jos in Plateau State, just name it. You understand? And if you look at the targets of such people, you will see that they are either politicians, okay, or mostly politicians. So it means that, and don't forget the issues for which these young people have been protesting. For me, I think they are still being given dressing. They are not being given the kind of treatment, the kind of attention that they actually deserve. First of all, I would have expected that by now, the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria should have called the Nigerian youth under any umbrella to have a heart-to-heart talk with them right inside the council chamber at the presidential villa. You understand? Mm-hmm. If traditional rulers will visit the president, politicians will visit different groups, why not mobilize? Why not invite the youth to have a heart-to-heart talk with them? But on the contrary, what we see now is that genuine Nigerian youths who came out to ask for their rights are being harassed and witch-hunted with their bank accounts frozen, some of them arrested for no just cause. You are rather feeling than quelling the situation. And that does nobody no good. So I think that this is the time for the government to really sit down and be more, including the man talking, the Senate president. It doesn't stop at talking.
I'd like to quote what I have under the story on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. Another protest looms if unemployment persists, says Lawan. Now, there's a part that says the president was quoted to have said, and here's a quote: "Our own generation is on the last lap and we exited. It is in the interest of the youth to keep the peace. They want jobs, infrastructure, and development." Would you tag this as the call for what the youth are fighting? Because now we have the Senate president saying, provide employment, and that will settle all of this. Do you think that?
You see, it still amounts to the window dressing I'm talking about. The issue is being addressed from the surface. Someone says, give me justice, not peace. You understand? Mm-hmm. What brings about peace, more often than not, is justice. And that is what we have not seen in this country, particularly as it has to do with the young people. The young people, what they are not asking for too much, for goodness sakes. They are not asking, Nigerian youths are not asking for too much. They are asking for the basic things of life. Good roads, give us good governance, so that a handful of individuals will not just sit down there at the corridors of powers and be sharing the nation's resources. You understand? Sending their children to the best of schools in the world, while the schools we have here, you know, apart from the fact that we have very dilapidated structures all around, you don't want to fund schools for 8 months now. Mention one country in the world where lecturers have been on strike for 1 week, not to talk of 8 months. Now you were just reading that medical doctors are embarking on strike. In the same state, Ondo, legal officers are on strike, and this cuts across all states in the country. And nobody seems to be doing anything about it. Look at the state of our roads. Look at the state of our power. Despite the creativity, how do you explore your so-called abilities without a leverage? So I think these are the little things that the Nigerian youths are asking for. Justice. You harass people because you're on uniform. You think because you are wearing uniform and you are being given gun, bought with taxpayers' money, you are therefore above the law. These are the things that the Nigerian youths are saying, that we are all Nigerians. The windfall of Nigeria belongs to us all. Let us share it, perhaps not equally, but equitably. You understand? That is all Nigerian youths are asking for. Give us good governance. Is that too much? It's not too much.
Well, that's a question for the government to respond to. Now, taking this story, this INEC story on page 11 of the Punch newspaper, we have INEC Yakubu hands over to Mohazu, National Commissioner resigns. The Independent National Electoral Commission on Monday confirmed the resignation of the National Commissioner, Abubakar Nahuche. His resignation was announced a few minutes after the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, handed over to the Air Vice Marshal Ahmed Mohazi retired to oversee the affairs of the commission. Yakubu is standing down for Senate screening and possible confirmation for a second 5-year term. Mr. Pius, not going into details. What do you have to say about this?
Well, not going into details. It's a standard thing to do. Your tenure has elapsed. You are being reappointed for a second term. You cannot continually stay in the office when your tenure has elapsed. Yet there cannot be a vacuum. Somebody has to hold forth for you until whether the Senate confirms you or not, time will tell. But the issue is, if you look at his pedigree, I mean, as far as he has been on the helms at INEC between, I think, 2015 or 16 when he came on board up till now. Has he performed? These are the questions Nigerians should be asking. But if you ask me as Pius, I would say that initially there were questions as to whether or not INEC was doing fine. But I think that as the days go by, we are beginning to see an improvement on our electoral system. And I think if they give him a chance, for those who know him, they've described him as a man of integrity. And so far, so good. He has not given us reason to think that he is not a man of integrity, sincerely speaking. Even though we cannot sit down here and score INEC very high, but it's not a one-man affair. There are a lot of other things. The Nigerian factor will always play itself out and all that. But hey, if he's still interested in the seat, which obviously he has not come out to reject the new offer, and the Senate finds him worthy of going back and confirm him, why not? Why not?
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a story from about the COVID-19 and says that hope rises as Pfizer vaccine proves 90% effective. How do you think we are about to get a cure for the coronavirus disease?
Well, my own is that the coronavirus, just like the Ebola, should just first come and go. It should just come and go in our local parlance. We don't want it in the first place. But if we have a cure for it, because I remember when the WHO, talking about the World Health Organization, was telling us that we have to brace up and live with the reality that COVID-19 has come to stay. So if that is the case, just like you have some other viruses and bacteria that plague mankind, well, and we have drugs that has given us 90% assurance that the COVID-19, that it could handle the COVID-19. Of course, it can only be good news. You get it can only be good news. So let's watch and see what comes out of it. So many other countries are also carrying out research. Recently, India came out to say that it wanted to, launch a drug for COVID-19 and all that. So all these things put together, let's see what comes out of it. But basically, I think it's good news.
Okay, thank you very much. And yes, it's time for you, our dear listener, to call and let us know what you think about the stories we've read out to you so far. The number to call is 0908 1111067, 0908 1111067, or you could call 0808 010 1067, 0808 0101067. Now moving over to page 17 of the Punch newspaper, we have IPPIS petrol scarcity imminent as Pengassan downs tools. Nigeria may face the scarcity of petrol in coming days as oil workers have been ordered to down tools nationwide. Oil workers under the aegis of the Petroleum and National Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria were ordered by the association to vacate their duty posts. It was, however, gathered Monday evening that the federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, reached out to the oil workers and invited the association leaders to a meeting in Abuja. And that's on page 17 of the Punch newspaper. IPPI's petrol scarcity Imenet at Pengasa Down Tools. Mr. Pius, okay, we have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay. All right, so we just move on. So I just because we, over the years we've had this situation, we've had this occasion where we've had this occasion where, towards the end of the year, the end of the month, we always have this old petrol. Are we about to experience something of that sort, or do you think something would change?
Sincerely, I don't know. If there's any area we must give the Buhari administration credit, I think is this issue of non-existence, practically non-existence of fuel queues that we used to experience those days under the previous administrations, even though the cost of pump price was not as high as we have today. But ever since the Buhari administration came on board, I think to a very large extent, we have had less to worry about the long queues in petrol stations. But if this is what we are going to experience again, particularly as we approach the youth side, sincerely, I don't know. But I pray it doesn't get to that point where we will have to start queuing, apart from the stress of having to pay through the nose 162 naira to buy petrol, you will still have to queue for us to get it. I don't think that would be good news for us. But again, let us look at what the Pengasen is talking about, the reason for which it went on strike. And it still boils down to the same complaints that the IPPIS. Of course, they are rejecting being enrolled into the IPPIS. I have always been an apostle of the fact that the man who pays you calls the shot. He tells you exactly how he wants to pay you. And your own, at the end of the day, is that you smile home or you smile to the bank with your money. That is the most important thing. And that the only reason you may want to down tools is if the time comes for you to get your entitlement, you don't get it. You have every reason. For me, I have not always thought that the mode of payment should be an issue. But like I said the other time, when certain arguments were raised as to why this IPPIS is a disadvantage in some quarters, I think I'm beginning to see reasons. The federal government should also see reasons and perhaps up its game on this matter. Now, we understand that there is a particular consultancy, you understand, that is responsible for the IPPIS, which gets a huge amount of money from the federal government. And the federal government, in turn, makes deductions from the workers. You understand? To foot the IPPIS funding. That is the one side of it. The other side of it is that the IPPIS makes mistakes at times. It makes a lot of errors, that it does not properly capture the salaries of personnel. We even have examples that have been cited where professors take home 8,000 naira as a result of the errors of the IPPIS. So if those are the reasons these people are saying they don't want the IPPIS, for me, I think it's a matter of understanding and a matter of improving on the technology that we have on ground. I don't think the IPPIS as a mode of payment is bad in itself. But I think that maybe it is the technology that is used for that mode of payment that is giving issues. So if they can look into that and perhaps upgrade the technology, I don't know how it works anyway. Perhaps if they can upgrade it to make sure that it does the right thing at the right time, I don't have a problem with that. Or better still, the ASU members who are seen as the intelligentsia in the society are also proposing their own, which is the University Transparency Accountability Solution, the UTAS. Why? Maybe the government should also try it and see if it will work at the end of the day. After all, that is why you have the intellectuals in the society to come up with solutions to problems bedeviling the society. So why not give it a try? But government has said that in the meantime, in the interim, it will continue to use the IPPIS until a time will come when it will eventually adopt what ASU is proposing. So I think whether it is ASU or whether it is Pengasin, is all about understanding, sitting with the government and discussing this matter once and for all, instead of using it to cause socio-economic problems in the country.
Right. All right, thank you so much. You, dear listener, yes, can call. The number to call is 0908 111 1067, 0908 111 1067, or 0808 010 1067, 0808 010 1067. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
You are speaking with Pastor Femi Pesos from Sango.
Okay, good morning, sir. Please, what do you have to say about this?
Hello?
Yes, we are listening, please.
Yeah, I don't know when we will have democracy in this country. Because we keep on repeating the same issue over and over and over and over again. The federal government says they are going to do this, they are going to do that, and at the end of the day, they become silent again. If the youth rise up the second time, life, protection, security, and even all the social amenities that the youth need, they've all forgotten that they are once youth before they become president, senator, and whatever they have to do. So we should try to address the youth. Though they might be silent for now, for some security reasons, but if they rise up the second time, you won't find it funny in this country. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that contribution.
All right, sir. This is the National Universities Commission, NUC, warning the Academic Staff Union of University not to destroy educational system in Nigeria due to the industrial action. How do you see that?
And yes, probably I should just link it up with ASU's plead on page 25 of the Punch newspaper. ASU asks for patience over lingering strikes. So we have NUC, warning ASU, and ASU now pleading for patience. You
see, some of these regulatory bodies, they are the problems that we have in this country. I'm sorry to say, it's just like those of us in the media. You do like this, it is because the regulatory bodies are seen as political, whether you like it or not, because they are established by the government. You understand? And so they also want to retain, apart from the fact that they want to retain their positions, members of those bodies, they also want to play or dance to the tune of the government. Otherwise, the question you want to ask yourself, where was NUC when the federal government had an agreement with ASU in 2009 that we are going to be funding the universities from time to time, we are going to pump in certain amounts of money into the system. In 2013, that agreement was renewed. It was never kept. And then in 2019, the same agreement was renewed and the federal government still reneged. And then NUC is pushing the blame on ASU. You understand? What about the federal government? Has the federal government done its own, kept to its own part of the promise? It has not. So you want ASU to go back to school and then continue after 6 months, they go back on strike. For me, I don't belong to that school of thought. Push until something happens. That is the school of thought that I belong to. So that when it happens for once. We may end up losing an academic session. Fine. But at the end of the day, what have we achieved? Is it going to solve the perennial strikes or the problem of the perennial strikes that we have been having in the country? If it is going to solve it once and for all, it doesn't matter if we lose 2 academic sessions. Let us tackle this problem once and for all. But for me, at times, it even looks like we we major on the minor and minor on the major. If it is IPPIS that we are talking about, I think there is no case. But if it's about funding of the universities, which is very obvious that our universities are not properly funded, they have to keep pushing until something happens.
Yeah.
That is the way I see it.
All right, thank you for that. Taking a stories regarding security on page 28 of the Punch newspaper, we have the headline: OPC alleges 3,000 Fulani herdsmen occupying Ibadan community. Residents of Maje in Soka area of Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, are in panic following alleged invasion of the area by about 3,000 Fulani believed to be herdsmen. And that's on page 28. Taking another security-related story, on that same page, we have anti-Boko Haram war taking too long. Bauchi governor laments. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed on Monday said that the war against the Boko Haram insurgents terrorists was taking too long, saying that it is shameful that it had not ended. I'd like to quote something he said. He said, the army is always yearning for equipment and manpower, and they are overstretched. The ratio of citizens to Nigerian army is very large. The cattle rustling, kidnapping, which is a responsibility of police, has become that of the army because the criminals are armed with sophisticated weapons like AK-47, and the hands of Nigerian army are full. We need to provide them with maximum facility for improved service. Now, this is apparently a lamentation coming from the
of which we are tired.
Yes.
We can't keep hearing the same thing year in, year out. And we have a government. And allocations are being made on a yearly basis for these same things. If you say that our army is overstretched, and we have a lot of youth loitering the streets without job, what happens to them? Why not imbibe them, enlist them in the army? If you say our army is overstretched because the army is now being used for civil issues, what happens to the police? Because they are not properly armed, they are not properly equipped. Where is the allocation that is being made for them on a yearly basis? What is being done? I mean, these are the kind of issues, just like our caller said. Every time you come on radio, I always pray that when I want to come on the air like this, I should see one or two good things to say, at least to give hope to some Nigerians who are hopeless as we speak. You know, it's all about giving hope. But when you can't even find something to hold on to, you know, it becomes lamentation in your own words. If we were to read our book of lamentation in this country, it has become so voluminous that you can't even read it. Because all we do now is come and lament. Because if all we come on air to talk about our issues, problems, unsolved problems here and there, we end up lamenting. And that is what we do on a daily basis. The military is supposed to protect the integrity of the countries at the fringes, at the borders. You understand?
Yeah. Internal
security and all this kind of thing belong to the police, the civil defense, and other security, paramilitary bodies, not the military. But because you don't equip them properly, you don't employ as much as you can in a country that is said to be the most populous in the black world. You have just slightly over 300,000 policemen to police over 2 million people. You cannot achieve results. That is just the truth. Okay. And then you have a lot of youths who are jobless. What are they doing? Push them into this system and let us overwhelm these people causing problem in the country.
Okay, and finally, just to wrap this up, and still talking about security, just briefly, reps deny approving firearms for FRSC. The House of Representatives has denied approving firearms for members of the Federal Road Safety Corps. Taking the jump, on Thursday, the Corps Marshal Boboyo Yemi had appeared before the committee to defend the 2021 budget proposed by the FRSC, where he lamented the threat to officers of the Corps. Now, I don't know where the line should be drawn for, some of the security agents or Corps members that should have the firearms, or those that should be denied it.
Well, it's neither here nor there. If you look at the job that these FRSC people do, it's a very delicate job because most times you see them on highways in very secluded place. I mean, very isolated places where they are prone to attacks. You understand, by hoodlums, and we've had cases where some of them have been either killed or maimed or attacked by these hoodlums because they are vulnerable. They don't have anything to defend themselves. You understand? But our fear at times is that in a nation where we are just talking about NSAS, the brutality and the senseless use of weapons in the country, it becomes an issue where you now start, oh yeah, you carry gun, you carry ammunition and all those kind of things. It becomes a major issue. For me, I would suggest that instead of carrying this kind of firearms that they brandish around and at the slightest provocation, they cock it and all that, perhaps light ammunition should be approved for them. Things like pistols. You don't get to see it until when the need arises. Even the police, carrying all these AK-47 and all these kinds of rifles about. For me, I don't think it's necessary in a civil society. You should do something. You can have a pistol. Nobody will even know that you carry one until when the need arises. So talking about the FRSC to be specific, because of the danger that they are prone to, it won't be a bad idea for this to be approved for them. But they have to undergo serious training and everything necessary to ensure that we don't go back to the NSAS day or NFRSC day.
Okay, all right, thank you so much, Mr. Pius. Appreciate the analysis, in depth as usual. Thank you so much, and we'd like to appreciate all our caller, Pastor Femi Festus. Thank you so much for calling in, and we appreciate you, dear listener, for sticking with us and following us all through until this bye-bye time. Okay, my name is Pelumi Adedoja. I say stay safe and have a lovely day.
Yes, my name is Isreal Adejumobi. Thanks for listening.
There is that radio station that cares about the people. Looks out for the missing here among us.
We're both acting insane, but you're stubborn to change.
Shines the light into darkened souls. It's not just the professionalism with